Let's get sweaty.
Hey guys, welcome to another Shenmue Dojo video. Today's video, I'm going to be looking at this week's Virtua Fighter leaks. They're quite exciting, I must say. But more importantly, I want to look around how Virtua Fighter may actually benefit Shenmue in the long run. We'll see, potentially given the sort of intertwined history between the two series, potentially how Shenmue could benefit, but also how Virtua Fighter could benefit, and also Yu Suzuki with hopefully a new Virtua Fighter title in the works. And it very much seems like there is one on the way. So before I dive into what the rumours are, a little bit of history for those of you who haven't played Virtua Fighter, aren't too familiar with it. I'm not going to go into the sort of the real nitty gritty history of it. SEGA guys do a really good breakdown of the series. The link is in the description below if you want to go and check that out. But a very brief history of Virtua Fighter is that it hit the arcades in 1993 by Yu Suzuki, who was at Sega AM2 at the time. And it is the first 3D polygon fighter out there, the first sort of truly 3D fighters. You could move left, right, up, down, and all around the arenas at the time. It was absolutely groundbreaking at the time. Obviously got a port to the Sega Saturn 32X, and then over the years there's been more iterations from Virtua Fighter 2, 3, all the way through up until Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, which was released in 2021 in the arcade and PlayStation 4, which was done by RGG Studios at Sega. And very recently, in 2023, we had Virtua Fighter 3 Team Battle Online. It's a re-release of the Dreamcast title, which was out way back in the late 90s, I think 1997, with a port to Dreamcast in 1998, if my memory serves me correctly. But as I said, go check out the Sega guys' stuff on this, because they do a far better breakdown than I do. But Virtua Fighter it's iconic. It is innovative. It was groundbreaking, and it's a damn good game in itself, and I don't think it gets the respect it deserves. But with this whole new idea of Sega going through this new era, new energy stuff, Virtua Fighter was very much in that conversation. If you think back to pre-Christmas, the Game Awards, where these new games were announced, a lot of fighting people, or fighting community members, whatever you want to call them, were getting invites or these little cards with the new era, new energy thing from Sega, which then started the massive rumours off around Virtua Fighter 6. I'll come on to that in a minute. And then it also went quiet with the announcement. And then this week, we've actually had what seems to be quite in-depth detail around what the new Virtua Fighter game is going to look like, and the fact it's actually in development. Now, the leaker is apparently a well-known leaker who goes on the name on Twitter here at MBKKSSTBHZ5. Bit of a mouthful, but there we are. And is well known for talking about Atlas games, and apparently got the Super Monkey Ball new game release right as well. So presuming they are pretty accurate and obviously are in the know in some way, shape or form. But the rumours itself. So we're going to talk us through the rumours a little bit and then how we got there and into Shenmue. So the rumour itself is that Virtua Fighter will be online and esports focused, which doesn't massively surprise me when you talk about Ultimate Showdown. There is very much a move that way, and it was called, I think there was a title over in Japan called Virtua Fighter Esports, and it was very much leaning that way, and lots of customization modes that go with it. That's very common in fighting games these days by the looks of it. There's going to be new characters with a modern art style and character artists. Now that's interesting. They are moving away, in theory, from sort of the current art that we know about. I found the Virtua Fighter art style really good. It's quite realistic in the way it looked. I hope it doesn't go too far the other way and sort of diversify too far off of that. We'll see. It's a game concept that's changed many times since 2021 up to now. Keep that into thought, because there's an interview that I'm going to refer to in a minute which will cover some of this as well. Moving further down the post, and it's quite a long one here, it talks about that there'll be some streaming and spectating implementation. That was in Ultimate Showdown. We saw that very much. Apparently it's part of the Super Game concept. It's a full reboot of the Virtua Fighter series, in developed by current Virtua Fighter staff. Now, I don't know who remains at Sega from the original Virtua Fighter series. As I said, Ultimate Showdown was done by RGG. It's a title releasing on all major platforms with crossplay and rollback netcode, which I know was a big deal at the time for Ultimate Showdown. It's a title that's going to be developed with a mod to be a modern competitor to Street Fighter and Tekken. That's great, and I'm pleased that it's going to go up against these titles. But what I hope doesn't happen is that it loses its soul a little bit by going too far off down the showy, flashy side of things. There's going to be a all-new main story with side stories with brand new characters. That's interesting. So are they going to sort of bring us all the way back to a Virtua Fighter 1 almost and reset it? Or is it going to be a continuation or branch off of a previous story? I don't know. The new characters definitely interest me, and that's going to be part of the focus when I come to the Shenmue bit. It's going to be ranked matches. That's all pretty sort of standard. That scales with the player, play styles, etc. I don't know who Daiichi Odeshima is, but is involved with the project. RGG have been assisting with development. Main concept is Battle Universe. It's open space where you can spectate fights. Development began in 2021, but ideas go back a long way. It is a reboot with the goal of making Virtua Fighter a popular series worldwide, but it is also Virtua Fighter 6. So it's interesting. They've said there's going to be a new story, but it is going to be a sequel, so I don't quite know what they're going to do there, how they're going to follow that up, but who knows. And the development team has carefully improved and implemented new fighting techniques inspired by other games, which does suggest a little bit that there's going to be some sort of potential showy type stuff, maybe. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. It's all sort of conjecture and hearsay at this point in terms of how that's going to look. So those are the rumours. And they're quite lengthy, it's quite detailed, and this person's got a history of generally being correct. So, assuming that's the case, Virtua Fighter is in development, fantastic, bring it on, day one purchase. But how did we get here? How did we get here? Now, that's the question itself. Now, as I said, SEGA had the announcement of Virtua Fighter 3 Team Battle making its way back to arcades, which was a bit of a strange move, but again, sort of testing the waters around esports. 2021 saw Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown come out, which was, I think, basically seen as sort of a testing of the waters, and it smashed its own download targets, and they have said to be considering a new game, which then brings me on to this interview here, which I think came from WCF Tech originally, but has then since been posted over onto Game Rant. And just having a quick look here, says the title addresses demand for a new Virtua Fighter title, talks a little bit about it was a candidate for revival, and they then sort of teased it after the Game Awards, essentially saying that it's in their thoughts and they're very much thinking about how they can make this thing happen, which is great. It's amazing. This quote here says it all. We're evaluating right now. Virtua Fighter doesn't use many tricks like special moves. It's very realistic. How can we make it more dramatic? So that is great that they're obviously thinking about it, but I think again there's concerns around how far away from the original formula it's going to go. I get they want to make it popular, but how is that going to come together? Going further back now, further back, I'm talking March 2023, so nearly a year at this point, Mr. Yu Suzuki was out with Seiji Aoki, who is currently on the Virtua Fighter team. I think he's one of the lead directors of it these days. And I talked about this in a video about a year ago about the WiseNet State of Play and the interview being put together at that point as well. So they were seen having dinner together. Read into that what you will, whether it was just a quick, we're going to do this, we want your blessing, whether Yu Suzuki is more involved, I don't know. But with Yu Suzuki being around Virtua Fighter, he created this thing. Obviously, we know it then, in terms of Virtua Fighter RPG, spawned into Shenmue. So the question I've got here is, how can a Virtua Fighter game, a new Virtua Fighter game, help Shenmue? Well, Shenmue, straight away, we know as hardcore fans that it has its roots in Virtua Fighter. Originally, Shenmue was Virtua Fighter RPG. It was slated for the Saturn. In actual fact, it was slated for release. I can't remember the exact date, but if you go back and look at the leaked Sega Saturn documents from Sega America, Pandemonium do a great breakdown of all that. Go and check that out if you haven't done so already. It was in the release schedule then, so it had some sort of slating to come out on the Sega Saturn. Obviously, we know it then moved over, changed its name to Shenmue, and the rest is essentially history. But Ryo and Akira share a lot in common. Martial arts style, Their individual personalities are sort of very similar, certainly in the early doors from when you talk about GDC and some of the characteristics talked about there. Go back to the Shenmue Master interviews as well. You can see the roots between the two of them, the characteristics between the two of them. They're very much intertwined. But then, as I said, how can it help Shenmue? Now, the first thing here is getting Ryo into a Virtua Fighter game. Sega lose nothing by doing this. Why couldn't Ryo be in Virtua Fighter? They did it for the Sega racing titles back in like sort of the early 2010s, around that time, if memory serves me correctly. Now, I know it's going to fuel rumours and all this sort of stuff, but why not acknowledge it? Why not put Ryo in there, given the roots and given the respect for Yu Suzuki that I think it would deserve? It almost, for me at least, would come across as a little bit disrespectful that Ryo isn't there, considering how intertwined these titles are, and Yu Suzuki being very much at the centre of it. Now, it could obviously help Shenmue because it gives good publicity for Shenmue, it gives good publicity for Ryo's character, and it gives the community us a shot in the arm while getting things in the mainstream media. Likewise, it then tempts us Shenmue fans back towards Virtua Fighter. Now, I know we're not a massive crowd compared to the massive fighting communities out there, but given the sort of the loudness around the Shenmue community, I think it would be sort of a mutual benefits here, essentially. Why couldn't we both, as communities, benefit from each other and getting Ryo in there, getting the rub from that, but also Virtua Fighter getting the rub from that as well, of almost going, look, we're acknowledging it, we're acknowledging Ryo, and it sort of almost sort of comorbidly develops together as this whole, what word am I looking for, sort of path forward, I guess. Now, they're going to put loads of other characters in this, I guess, as well. There'll be loads of skins and customization items as well. So you can have anything from Yakuza, I would expect. Beyond that, you might get some Streets of Rage characters in there potentially as well. I know Dead or Alive have had Virtua Fighter characters in there in the past, so you might get some of them. But beyond that, in terms of actual physical characters that would fit Virtua Fighter, outside of Yakuza, Dead or Alive, you haven't got many. So why not lean into Shenmue? Why not bring in Ryo? You could bring Ryo, Lan Di, Ren, just as three, straight off the bat. Zhuing is another one. You could bring these people in and really pack out the roster, because I think it's going to need that. Lots of fighting titles have huge rosters these days, so it'd pack the roster out. And as I said, would give a mutual benefit for both franchises. As I said, rumours might fly, but sod the rumours, it'd be fine. The other thing they could do with it, I guess, is look at customization items. Now, if they don't want to go down the route of full characters, why not chuck Ryo's jacket in there? Or something like that. Or a stage that has a nod to it. So if you go back to the original Virtua Fighter 5, back on the PlayStation 3, you can see MJQ Jazz Bar in the background of one of the stages. So why not something like that as a little nod as well? Now, also bearing in mind that Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has that podcast in it where they talk about a guy with a tiger on his back going around asking about sailors, trips east, etc. A very, very blatant nod to Shenmue in probably the biggest title Sega released this year and probably will release this year. So again, there's a little acknowledgement there. So why can't they, if they want to go down the more subtle route, I guess, why couldn't they put some customization items in there for Shenmue, like Ryo's jacket, even like Lan Di's robes could be another one. What about a mirror? Something like that, just to give a nod to Shenmue and maybe, just maybe, give us a little dangle of a carrot that Sega might just be interested in this thing again. So how do we get here? How do we get something in there? Well, quite simply, any Sega post, anything Virtua Fighter related, get out there and shout about the Shenmue name. We've been doing this already, and it's starting to get a nice ripple going on social media now. We can't let up. Anything that Sega post, Shenmue. Anything, any opportunity on social media, Shenmue, Shenmue, Shenmue. Could do even a hashtag Rio for Virtua Fighter 6. We like a hashtag, right? But let's see what happens. Let's be vocal. Let's see what happens. Even if they only did skins, customization items, that would be great. If they did a full character, it would be even better. And I think it could really, really work. Anyway, guys, that's sort of the end of the video. It's been way, way longer than I anticipated. But what do you guys think? Could we get Ryo in a Virtua Fighter game? What do you think about this new Virtua Fighter title? Now, that's an interesting question itself. I'm excited for it, but I also have some apprehension around it. What do you guys think about it, and how could Shenmue benefit from Virtua Fighter, and vice versa as well? So before I finish the video, guys, I'll give a shout out to our members who, for £2 a month, you can join. You get all the video content outside the podcast ahead of time. Nothing is behind the paywall. You'll get everything upon release if you don't sign up. All money goes to running the website, site costs, and competitions, etc. as well. Also, once a month within our Discord, there is a subscribers and YouTube members only chat where we also run exclusive competitions for you guys in there as well. But for the guys who have signed up, thank you very, very much. I'm going to read your names out right now. So Samsay, K&K, Renners, Richard Cartledge, that's me, Carl, Terry, Stuart Peacock, Mark the Pulverizer, Little Crypty Monster, Titch, Richard King, Sean Potter, Guppy Coy, Bruce Wayne 937, Survival Spears, Peter Hoffland, Sean Don, Wandering Through Shenmue, Phantom Riverstone, Bruce Wayne 911, Mike Franz, Manny Figueroa, Master Mo, Nick Hughes, Sean Hastings, Clunky Mage, and William Lovering. Thank you very much for being members. The list has got bigger and bigger as things have gone on, which I'm really flattered about, and I know James is as well. I might have to start doing a little credit section at the end because there's a lot of you to read out. But thank you everybody for dropping in on the content and enjoying the Shenmue Dojo's content. Give us a like, share, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know exactly where you can find us, and I will be back with a video in the not too distant future. But for now, guys, take care and have a good one.